The following program does not reflect the views and opinions of Channel 33, its management, or sponsors. You're watching Power Talk on your community TV station, UHF TV 33, Detroit, Highland Park.
Welcome to Metro Foodland, where you will always find courteous service. Our hardworking staff always gives their all to maintain our dairy fresh and wholesome products, cold cuts, premium meats, and of course, we have some of the freshest produce around. Check out our deli and bistro. We also carry specialty items such as Tanisha Noni, Water Station Alkaline Water, and much, much more. If we don't have it, just ask, and we'll do our best to get it. Remember to ask how to join our Healthy Rewards Club. Seniors and ladies, always ask for an escort to your vehicle. We'll see you soon at Detroit's own community grocer, Metro Foodland, located at 18551 Grand River. That's 18551 Grand River, near Finkel and the Southfield Freeway. Remember, that's Metro Foodland.
Tuesdays, 9 p.m. on TV 33. Join me, Barry Ross, on Mixing It Up. We'll feature informative community organizations that will offer solutions to Wayne County residents in reference to employment, safety, and security within neighborhoods, job training, education, and mentoring programs. Remember, Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Join me, Barry Ross, Mixing It Up on TV 33. Good evening, and welcome to another segment of Mixing It Up. If you don't know by now, I'm the host of this show, and my name is Barry Ross. I've been around for quite a while in this city, and I want you all to know that this just isn't my show. This is our show. This is a community show. I'm encouraging you all. I want you to feel comfortable. Call me tonight. You're going to want to get involved in this show. I got a great show in store for you, and I'm going to give you the phone numbers. They're going to be going across the screen in a minute. But I want you all to know that what you're looking at is live. I am live here tonight. This show is live on TV 33. If you live in Detroit and you got UHS, you got just the digital box, regular TV, you go to TV 33. If you're fortunate enough to be able to pay that cable bill, you go to Comcast 20 or Comcast 90. And if you don't have any of that and you got a computer, you go to TV 33, WHPR.com. Now, all of these shows, all of Mixing It Up, is always available 24/7. Within 3 days, this show tonight's going to be on YouTube on ROSSBD51. Ross, B for Barry, D for Dennis, 51. You can also go to Mixing It Up on Facebook, and you join, and then you're going to hit the video button, and you can watch all the shows, everything I've ever done on the streets for my organization, for other organizations. Everything I do for the community and this show are all dumped into my YouTube. Also, BarryRoss.org. And you remember Barry White? He didn't spell his name with an E, and I don't either. It's B-A-R-R-Y. People always say, did you say Jerry? Did you say Gary? I said, no, I said Barry, like Barry White, because everybody relates to Barry White. In any event, you call us tonight, 313-868-4336, 868-0351, and 0342. Now, tonight, I have a very special show tonight, as usual. But tonight I got a new old friend, and his name is Mr. Miles Adolph. He is a professional dancer. He does the ballroom, he does the salsa, he can do a waltz, and he's got an organization that he's going to tell you about, and he's going to tell you about the rage of ballroom all across the country. I believe he's got a couple hundred members that they go out, I think weekly, and they ballroom and they get together, and they can hear the words of the music. They don't just have the loud pounding bass. These are social events for adults that aren't getting into trouble. They don't carry guns into these dances, okay? They're not hurting anybody. They're enjoying themselves, okay? He'll be here in a couple minutes. And I also have a very prestigious community man, Mr. Emmett Mitchell. And he is the founder of Milestones Agency. And I just want to let you all know, he's also the author of Game on Consignment. This is the war on poverty, ignorance, and depression. There's much more going on with the children in Detroit that are taking people out, killing them, raping, the acts of violence. It's much deeper than just crime. We're going to talk to Emmett about it. And like I said, he's the executive chairperson of Milestones. I just want you to know, you're going to hear a lot more about this. He has he's got a Black Male Leadership Symposium scheduled for December 15th, which is soon. That's Saturday, 12 o'clock at the Northwest Activity Center. I'm going to make sure I'm there on Myers and Curtis, room 2A. When you hear Emmett tonight, he's going to hit you so hard you're going to want to crawl to this event, and he's got a big one coming up in January. I also have, you know that once a month I turn my show over to somebody in the community of substance, somebody that's got leader capacity, somebody that puts their money where their mouth is, somebody that just doesn't come on here and tell about it. They are about it. And you know that's what I am, and that's what I stand for. I have Reverend Myowa Reynolds, and tonight, now she's a minister at Wendell Anthony's Fellowship Chapel. He's only the president of the NAACP. She's a minister there, and she's invited on her show tonight, which is part of my show, to Furry Brent, who is a dynamic, powerful young minister. Also one of the original founding members of the Detroit 300. I've been on the streets with him, and he is bad. Now, last Friday night, there was a prayer vigil put together for Miss Reed, the 71-year-old woman. Wasn't bothering anybody. Was at her home, two young men with hoodies on. Now, they're not all bad because they got hoodies on, but I'm just telling you the deal. They robbed her. But as you know, when they get what they want, that's never enough. They beat her up. They took her to the top of the basement stairs and rolled her down the basement, cracked her spine, and she died. Broken neck. There was a prayer vigil we were at last Friday night, and it was spearheaded, I believe, by Tafuri and his guests tonight, which are going to be on Myowa's show. So you ain't going to want to go anywhere. Now, today was rather historical. We had the right to work bill passed by this jive sissy governor. And you know, the legislature in Lansing passed it through, and then ultimately he's got to sign it. The unions are going to lose their bargaining power. They've already lost, due to attrition and the economy over the last several years, the UAW has lost over 1 million members. They're already getting weaker. They're losing the ability, their power is going to be diminished. Their benefits, their pay. And so you know what I was thinking today? Is this going to affect the quality of control, quality control on the manufacturing of cars? Because I'm going to tell you something. If my pay is cut and I'm working all day long, I'm going to be taking more bathroom breaks. I might even be drinking more gin in the bathroom. I'm telling you, we have a high incident rate of alcohol and drugs in the factory, and you know that. Imagine what this could do. There was several thousand UAW protesters today, and it didn't even mean anything. This just passed through. See, what's happening is the legislature is like really not in session right now for the holidays, and they can just scurry these bills right through. This governor, my God, he is one step up from the devil. And what people don't understand is he's really not a liar. Everything he said he was going to do when he got in office, he's done it, but with lightning speed. And now, today, City Council, Detroit City Council, passed The law firm that wrote the language in the emergency manager document, Miller Canfield, they approved them as being the legal counsel for City Hall. So this means that when contracts come to Detroit, do you think they're going to want to give them to the black folks in Detroit, the jobs and the contracts? They're going to Lansing. They're going to the governor's people. These guys are all sleeping together. The governor's already a sissy, all right? And you can tell him I said so on my show, because I'm not as scared of him. And I really have to say, I'm really upset for his disregard for human life in the city of Detroit. We have 80,000 abandoned homes. The consistent violence, the schools closing, the libraries closing. This is telling me when he drives through our city, he's blocking out the window. He doesn't want to see you. He doesn't love you. He doesn't care about you. So that's why I apologize for calling him names, but I got to be honest with you. Anybody that doesn't care and doesn't have any regard for human life, it's the same I feel about a man that beats up a dog or a woman. He's a punk to me. Anybody that takes advantage of somebody weaker than them, to me, is low on the totem pole. So we're supposed to be a fair, democratic country. We're supposed to be able to sit down at the table and discuss our differences and try to have a meeting of the minds and come to some terms. There is no sitting down with this governor. He's doing what he wants. He wants to privatize everything in Detroit, take over all the corporate businesses, and make DTE private. Control the libraries, control Belle Isle, control the schools. The teachers that are working in these achievement schools, his new schools, are not trained with the same credentials as conventional teachers. They're set up to fail. Yeah, they got all the brighter students going to these schools, which also isn't fair. He's cut down the schools for special needs. I could go on and on and on. I mean, to me, we're one step away from dictatorship here as far as I'm concerned. So I'm opening up my phone lines after this interview. If we want to talk about the right to work that was just passed today, if you want to, oh, and by the way, Minister Shabazz and myself and Robert Robinson from It Takes a Village, remember the little baby girl a couple years ago that died when they sent out a fire engine for a fire with no water hookup? Oh, my God. And no ladder. For some reason, she was about 1.5 to 2. She was upstairs in the attic of a house alone. I don't even understand what went on there. That's another story. They couldn't get in to save her. She died from smoke inhalation. And not only that, when children and adults die in a city, and the economy is beyond struck. It's beyond struck, S-T-R-U-C-T. It's beyond poverty level and jobs are at a premium. Families can't afford to bury their babies and their family members and their loved ones. We set up a fund, initially the Ivory Ivy Emergency Children's Fund. It was for babies newly born up to 18 who died in fires. Due to the lack of support, we now have a broader spectrum. We are now still called the Ivory Ivy Emergency Children's Fund. It's at Comerica Bank, but it's for anybody that dies from a murder in the city or a fire and whose families can't afford to bury him. Could you imagine you lose somebody for no reason and now you got to face paying for it? My God. So we want to make it, we want to lighten the load. We need donations for this. We have $200 in the bank. We need hundreds of thousands of dollars. We never want to turn a family down for a funeral that needs help. You can call me, 248-417-9696, Barry Ross at Comcast.net. You can call my brother from another mother, Malik, 313-646-3375, and Malik certainly is my brother, to say the least, because I wear his heart and he wears mine. We're going to get on with the show right now. I get a bit serious and a bit passionate because we need it. And I want to welcome to our show tonight my friend, Mr. Miles Adolph.
How you doing?
Fine. Come on up a little bit. Come on up to the world. Adolph, how's things going?
Oh, they're great right now.
You look great.
Yeah, I've been knowing you quite a few years now. I remember when we were both teenagers, and your uncle was in the store and down at Sherman's, and I used to come purchase, and y'all was selling. You and Steve were selling goods. That's been years ago. So I'm
Store's
another
still there.
brother from another mother.
Now, Adolph, and then I want to get into this. I was talking about you, but I just want to reiterate, you love dancing,
Oh.
and you have an organization. I want everyone to see. Could you just hold this up and tell them the name of the organization? It's going to be hard to see. But
North to South Dance Association. We dance all over Detroit, but we also spread ballroom dancing all over the country. Right now, it's a big phenomenon. We do it everywhere. Washington, D.C., Florida, Philadelphia, L.A., everywhere we're dancing. They had a step craze, but now the craze is ballroom, Detroit ballroom dancing.
even the young are doing the ball.
Oh, yeah. We got some young people that they started when they were 17 years old. We teach in the school system, too. So that
Really?
helps these kids. Most of them that take our classes going to college and become somebody.
Well, how do you teach the dancing in the schools? How is that? You have actual programs or at events they call you?
We
or-
do it on our own time. We go in
Okay.
and teach. We have quite a few instructors. If you want to learn, I got a list of people you can go learn from.
Just for those that might have been living in a cave, what does ballroom dancing really mean? What's the
As
difference?
any dance done by a man and a woman in the club on the ballroom floor. That's
You
what
mean-
ballroom dancing
I
is.
always thought it's when we hold one another and do that, the fox step, I thought that ballroom is when you hold a woman.
Not all the time. No.
Okay.
It's the new ballroom is couple dancing period, but we do a dance. It's called the ballroom, the Greystone Ballroom. It's now coming back. It's taking this country by storm. Everybody wants to learn the original ballroom out of the Greystone.
Tell them where the Greystone was
It
and
was
what
on
it was.
Canfield, 3900 Woodward Avenue in Canfield. I can tell you, I should go all the time.
And everybody used to come here, right? All
Everybody.
the greats.
You go to Greystone.
Miles Davis.
Miles Davis,
Okay,
Gary
Bird.
Mulligan, Cannonball Adley, Ray Charles, Dionne Warwick. Everybody was there.
Okay. Let's go back if we can because you really know your stuff. How far back does ballroom go back to? What are we talking
Actually,
about?
the
30s?
dance started in the 30s, but actual dance started in the slave times. They call it the cakewalk. They took a dance that they used to do in the minuet, and the slaves used to do it years ago, and they brought it up and made it the cakewalk, which transformed into the ballroom.
Okay, now you're known. I think your signature dance is the Manhattan. Is that what people?
That's the-
when you talk about Miles, Adolph,
They called me the Madison Man.
the Madison. Did
The
I say
Madison
I'm
Man,
sorry,
right.
Madison. Tell everybody what are some of the moves in the Madison?
Oh,
if
it's
you
a
could
lot
describe.
of moves. The Madison started in 1949 right here in this city. Still some of the people here that originated this dance, 84, 85 years old, they're still here doing this dance. And it's on YouTube. If you ever want to see it, go see Madison Hustle 2012 on YouTube. You'll see me doing it.
Okay. And what really separates the Madison from most other ballroom dances?
The Madison is actually a hustle. It's not a ballroom dance. And it's the first hustle dance ever did.
Do you know I used to hustle?
You did? What kind of hustle you do?
Not people. That too, but in the late 70s, when disco was around, there used to be a club in Southdale called Oscars.
I remember.
And you used to have to stand in line to get in this club. They had a social club going on there too. They had a backgammon room. They had a social room. They didn't have pool tables, but it was an you could have dinner there. So you could take a lady there, take her to dinner, and you know this was impressive as hell. You get dressed up. You had to have a jacket on. You wasn't no getting in there even in nice jeans today in a sport. You had to have a jacket on. You take her in there, you have a couple drinks, you have dinner. You might play a couple games after, table games, and get on the dance floor. And they had a great sound system. There was a lot of clubs back in those days,
It still
specifically.
is a lot of clubs.
Let's tell everybody some of the names of some of the clubs.
Firewater. It's on Milwaukee and John R.
Been there.
Yesterday's. That's on 96 and Telegraph. The Knights of Columbus Hall, which is every Saturday night they're doing something.
Which
over
Knights of Columbus?
there. Knights of Columbus on Michigan and Larkin.
Okay,
And this is all the older crowd. Now, young people come too because they wanna learn and they wanna feel safe. That's why they come to the older crowd.
And they have security
Never a
outside.
problem.
That's-
Never.
Okay.
You really don't need security because most people don't even drink.
Now-
they don't smoke. They don't do anything. They just dance. That's what they do.
When you're out and your peers know you, does anyone ever come say, Adolph, can you show me a couple moves?
All the time.
Because I watched you, Adolph. That's why
All the
I
time.
saw this man at a singles party at Pi
Yeah. out of
last
time,
year,
yeah.
put on by, I forget his name.
I can't remember.
He
the name.
has these single. Man, you shut the place down. Everybody had to just like it used to be on the big shows, man. You like had your own part of the floor, man. They were just you are great, and I saw you, and I'm glad I ran into you. Listen. You have events,
Yes, all the time.
okay, and we want to talk about that, and I want to continue to have you on and help you promote these events. And you have a nationwide.
It's a nationwide group. Plus, I want to bring some people on here and show you what dancing really is about. I bring some people in here from the age of 17 to 85 years old that's still dancing.
All right, now you see why that's hard. We got this tape. We'll have to
Need
talk
that
about.
little room right
all right,
there.
we're going to talk about. That's right. We're going to talk about that. I want to do that for you. You told me that there's some prize money in some of these.
Oh, yeah. They
Tell
have
them
a big
about
contest.
where
We
was the
had
one at the
in
casino?
MGM about 2 years ago. There's a $20,000 prize.
$20,000.
They just had one down in Washington, D.C., $15,000. We travel all over the place. I went into a $50,000 contest in Orlando
Wow.
about 4 or 5 years ago.
Now these things. Now I've heard from other people that a lot of dance shows seem to and contests seem to have a circuit, so to speak.
Right.
They might have something going on in Detroit this month, next month somewhere else. But listen, I'm single. Women that are single, we got a lot. I bet you in the city of Detroit, single women, eligible single women, are probably outnumber the men 5 to 1. I don't even know, but
More
what
like
kind of
10 to
single?
1.
Maybe 10 to 1. You know, because women are always saying we're all dogs. And men are always saying, you know, they all crazy. Men are on Venus and women are on Mars or whatever it is.
They come to the dance place.
That's
they
what I
won't
want to
have that
ask
problem.
you.
They
That's
won't
what
have that problem.
anybody.
Everybody wants to dance.
All right,
in the dance
anybody
place.
that's single, that wants to have some good, clean fun, and remember it and go home and say, my God, now that was something. I felt like New Year's Eve. There's a lot of single people that go, right?
All the time.
Okay, now I want to be up on the latest steps. I don't want to go stepping on her feet. So what can I do to brush up a little bit
Well, we
before
have
some of
groups
these?
all over the city that teach. Next time I come back, I'm going to bring you a whole list.
Okay.
And if you want to learn every day of the week, it's classes all over the city.
Fast Freddy ever go to these?
Man, Fast Freddy's always with me. He's always hanging out with me all the time.
Now, people don't know. I've known Fast Freddy since he's been 18. He used to sell ladies' shoes. And Fast Freddy did a spread in GQ magazine with one of my brothers.
I'm the one that got him in there.
Okay. All right.
He's the only brother that had 6 pages in GQ.
That's
He's
right.
the only person that ever had 6 pages in GQ.
And I want to tell you, when you see him in lime green shoes, he got on lime green underwear. There's nothing about Freddie that don't coordinate, doesn't match. And I was thinking about another guy, but these are different times. Now, remember Rock from Classic?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Rock, they did a spread on Rock because he had the most alligator shoes.
Right, he did it one time, yeah.
Let's take a couple minutes. You're following this. Okay. Take 2 minutes and tell everybody where they can go and close it out, and then we'll take a break.
They can go to Club Yesterdays, and if they want to learn how to dance,
When can they
come
go
on
there?
Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 6:30 to 8:30. Then they can go to Firewater on Tuesdays from 5:30 to 6:30, and on Sundays from 3 to 6. They can go to Northwest Activity Center at 2:30 on Saturday night.
Well, and what was the first at yesterday's? What time is this?
That's from 6:30 to 8:30 on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Okay. Now Adolph is going to be back. I made a promise to him. maybe every month, month and a half, we're going to have him come back, and we're going to do that dance thing here with some other people, and we want to continue to promote these events, so you're going to let us know. Do you want to give out any contact information for you? Got an email or?
I'll tell you what, if you want to dance, coming up the 29th, the last Saturday of New Year's, before New Year's, Tyrone Bradley, the baddest DJ in the city of Detroit, is having a function. It's all dancers.
Where's
Come
it
on
at?
down.
Where
That's
is it?
At the Knights of Columbus Hall on Michigan and Larkin.
That's again the 29th.
The 29th, the last Saturday. That's what they call it, the last Saturday of the month.
A big New Year's dance at Knights of Columbus on Michigan and what?
Michigan and Larkin.
Okay. Is there an address?
No, I don't have that.
Okay. You're gonna call them. You can call that in again, and we'll repeat that.
Okay.
I appreciate you taking the time. If you could sit with me
Anytime,
for a
Barry,
minute.
anytime.
And he don't really want me to plug what he's doing during the day, and I'm sorry about that. But he's a very, very, very good man, and I'm very proud to have him here tonight. So you stay tuned. And I have Mr. Emmett Mitchell coming on next from Milestones Agency. Man, wait till you hear this. He's no stranger here. As a matter of fact, it's because of him I got a show. When I found out that they'd give anybody a show, man, I said, you're kidding, and I ran. They just wanted my money. I have no talent. You know, I just wanted my money. Give this white boy a show here. You know, I'm just happy to have a show on the all brother-sister station. So we'll be right back with Emmett Mitchell after this word. Okay, great.
1,000 men's suits. And right now at Sermons, you can buy one and get two free. Not one suit, but two free. Buy one suit, bring two friends. Buy one suit, bring two relatives. Buy one suit, get two free. Bring your pastor, your boss, your teacher. Buy one suit and get two free. Sermons with 90 years of experience, carrying jeans, exotic skin shoes, sets, shirts, leather, sweaters, everything for the well-dressed man. Buy one suit, get two free. Sermons on Randolph in downtown Detroit.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special bulletin.
Did you know that there are over 100,000 abandoned homes within the city of Detroit? If you are tired of abandoned dangerous houses in your neighborhood, please support the Greater Detroit Restoration Project. Please make all checks and money orders payable to the Greater Detroit Restoration Project. The mailing address, 17301 Livernois, Suite 405, Detroit, Michigan, 48221. All donations will help fund the expense of boarding up abandoned homes within the city of Detroit and Highland Park. For more information, contact Barry Ross at 248-417-9696 or Minister Malik Shabazz at 313-646-3375.
You are going to want to check me out first Wednesday of every month. Join me, Barry Ross, remixing it up. It's webtv.com. I'm going to be reporting to you the facts and the truth, the way our society is run in Metro Detroit. 8 p.m., bringing you featured guests in relation to community, education, violence, what's happening on the streets in our town. It's Web TV, Barry Ross, remixing it up. Wednesdays at 8 p.m., the first Wednesday of every month. Remember, remixing it up with Barry Ross on itswebtv.com.
Hey, come on. Man, what is taking so long? Let's play.
Just getting a number.
Whose number?
Narcotics Anonymous.
Hey, if you need to talk.
No way, it's not for me, it's for my brother. He's constantly wasted. Come on, hoop time. Can you tell me about NA?
Call Narcotics Anonymous. We can help you.
Good evening. Welcome back to Mixing It Up. And again, I'm proud to say that I'm still Barry Ross. And you're watching us tonight on TV 33, Comcast 20. We want to acknowledge Mr. William Pointer from the Better Detroit Youth Movement, history teacher in Detroit. Better Detroit Youth Movement just had a major assist with Angela Kilgore this weekend. They cleared up a neighborhood. They're revitalizing Denby High School's community. And, you know, he's always welcome to come on my show. He could just kick my guest off and say, Barry, I'm coming on. He knows he's always welcome here. We have Mr. Emmett Mitchell with us tonight, this very articulate, good-looking young man. Shake my hand, please. Thank you. Thank
you.
you.
Doing this evening, Barry?
And you wear many hats. You've just recently formulated the Milestones Agency. And you're an author. And which would you like to where would you like to start? Your book or everything?
Well, let's start with the agency, Barry. It's not recently formed, but the agency has been in existence since about 2009.
Okay.
And we started providing services to African American males sometime around the end of 2009. What the goal of the agency is to provide services and resources to African American males in the inner city who are faced with the issues and challenges that we discuss most often in the city.
I just want to tell everybody that this is more than just a few words spewing out of this man's mouth. He's here, he's interested in making a difference. He's committed, I'm convinced, because they don't know your face well. I've known you for a bit. He's also presides on the board of one of my organizations, and he's very committed to changing the culture from the bottom up. And isn't that what we're dealing with on one scale?
Well, some of the issues that we deal with in the city, Barry, are systemic issues, and they're repetitive cycles of poverty, ignorance, and depression. And oftentimes, and I commend all individuals who bring to the table some potential answers to some of these issues, but if you're focused on intervention and you never go to the beginning of the issue, sometimes you will find yourself trying to bring a solution to a problem that will be reoccurring over and over and over again. And so the goal of the agency is to bring preventative measures to the table so you can see long-term intervention, so you can see long-term results in regards to alleviating some of the issues and challenges that plague the city of Detroit.
Did I tell you, ladies and gentlemen? Now, I have to say, we are on the same accord. What seems to me, even myself, when I go on the streets for extreme acts of violence, if we can curtail some form of violence in a neighborhood today, tomorrow it seems to pop up again. So if we're putting a and everything's important, like you said, but we don't want to put a Band-Aid on what's going on. It goes way back. You and I talked this week about parenting, and we face so many issues in these households. A lot of it's in the house. Single mothers that don't know how to be mothers, that they were never taught. Why don't you expound upon really what's going on in the families and a lot? It's so varied, I know, but you want to touch on the families in general and what when I say you recently started your agency, you are going to have an open door. You're having an office where people can come in and get treatment, correct?
Well,
going forward?
Well, we'll provide services.
Services, okay.
We have 3 components to the agency, Barry. The first component is alcohol, tobacco, and other drug prevention for young children ages 5 to 17. The second component of the agency is the Strengthening Families Through Fatherhood initiative for fathers of all ages. And the third component of the agency is the Survival Success and Leadership Training Program for young men ages 13 to 21. It's our belief that if you're trying to provide services for individuals, you have to try to provide services for the entire family. You have to provide holistic services for individuals. If you provide services for 2 hours a day and 22 hours a day, an individual or a client or someone who needs your help and support is away from you, they're only taking in the negative socialization that you're trying to exercise out of them and out of their thought process. And essentially what's happening is you are addressing the needs of the child or you're addressing the needs of an individual, and then that individual in turn continues to be socialized by the environment or the circumstances that they are surrounded by, which puts them in a situation to where they find themselves fighting or trying to tread water to improve their quality of living, but it makes it difficult because the services that you receive are only part services. So the goal is to provide prevention services for the young children, for the younger men who are developing into men, provide them with services, survival success, and leadership training, and give them the social skills and social development that will put them in a position for success, and then providing services for the fathers who may not be connected with the children, who may be returning citizens from prison and things like that. And so essentially the goal is to try to touch base with all the components in regards to issues and challenges that we face. And there's a lot of intervention intervention resources that are available, but there are not many prevention resources available to, we'll put it like this. Imagine standing at the bottom of a hill and you're trying to stop a snowball from getting larger and larger and larger, and you're at the bottom of the hill to try to catch it. Why not stop the snowball before it gets too large? And so the goal is to address these issues and these repetitive cycles of negative socialization in the household, get the parents involved with understanding how these cycles have had an impact on their lives, and then in turn, these parents will change the way that they do business in raising their children. And so you're addressing the children's needs, you're addressing the needs of the parents, and then in turn, there's the intervention piece, but there's also the prevention piece for the children.
You obviously have this well planned, and I just want to ask you, what are some of the programs that you are going to facilitate to circumvent, work with this prevention? Like when you talk about the tobacco and alcohol, specifically, I mean, what might some of their options be to come to these families, and what kind of treatment will they have, or what have you? However you're doing this, what are they going to have available to them?
Okay, well, some of the goals of the Milestones Agency overlap, and so with the prevention programs for our youth, the goal is to get them to build their self-esteem, get them to deal with conflict in a positive manner. All conflict is not bad. Sometimes it's just a form of expression.
How you deal with it?
We teach them conflict resolution. But at the base of it all is the alcohol, tobacco, and other drug prevention. And it's getting them, identifying the drugs, getting them to understand what they do to the body, and getting them to understand that this will change your quality of living.
But at a very young age, do they have this ability, these children, to be able to conceptualize this? I mean, how old might a child, what age limit, what's the minimum age you would start with a child with the alcohol and tobacco, and how would they be coming to you? Where is this going to be facilitated at the schools, or are they coming to you as a treatment agency?
Well,
or you're not a treatment agency at all. You're preventative through mass means or somehow.
Well, it's a prevention agency, and we are not licensed for treatment.
Okay.
But in regards to answering your question to the age of the youth and how they intake information, a 5-year-old child has the ability to understand right from wrong, and how can, as we disseminate information to these children, we get them to understand by pictures. We get them to understand with interacting with them and showing them as opposed to telling them. And so we work with them in a fashion to where it's hands-on.
And where are you going to be able to approach them? Are we talking about them not coming to you, but are you going to schools? How are you going to facilitate this? Obviously, I would think that you're going to want to approach, a classroom of students or what have you. Is this what you're thinking or what you're going to do, or?
Well, we partner with multiple Detroit Public Schools. We're in the Detroit Public Schools. We do outreach at different nonprofit agencies and different faith-based
Can we tell them
organizations.
some of them you're doing now?
Yeah, we can. We've just, well, I won't say that I won't call it a contract, but we just finalized a memorandum of understanding with the Calumet Center, where we're going to go in and teach some of our programs.
Have you been there yet?
Yes, we have.
Okay, so let's talk about that. You facilitated a program. Now, these are children that were at risk. They're in a treatment center. They're in a juvenile center.
Well, some of them are in juvenile center. Some of them are just DPS students. Some of them are students, and some of them are in treatment.
Okay, and how did that go? How were you received?
Well,
overall,
one of the things that I'm starting to learn with youth, Barry, is when you start to present them with alternatives to at-risk behavior, they'll embrace that. And if they believe that you are genuine and they believe that you are being honest with them, they will embrace you. and they will start to consider changing and improving upon bad choices if you give them positive alternatives. I like to challenge youth to get an understanding as to why they got themselves in the situation that they are in. The Milestones Agency firmly believes that oftentimes these learned behaviors can be corrected if you can get an individual to step outside the box and get an understanding of how this type of behavior has begun. And oftentimes a child is socialized negatively and positively by first their parents. So for example, if a parent is smoking cigarettes or making bad decisions, oftentimes the youth will make, a youth can oftentimes make bad decisions and make bad choices based on being socialized by their parents. It's the normal way of doing business in a household. The people that you look up to first are your parents.
All right, let's hold, excuse me, we have 2 calls. I'd like to, I'm sure they're directed to you. We're ready. Good evening, you're on the air with Mr. Emmett Mitchell. How are you?
How you doing?
Stevie?
Yeah.
Happy holidays, you all right?
Yeah.
Okay, how you feeling?
Fine.
All right, what's up?
I went to Christmas shopping.
Okay, and what'd you get?
Buy anybody gift.
You get me a gift?
I got no gift.
You got me no gift?
I got no gift.
All right. Oh, you got no gifts.
I said I got no gift.
Okay, I got you. All right. You see this good-looking man next to me?
Yeah.
I'd like to get back and talk about what we're doing with the children. Can we do that?
Yeah.
All right, and I just want to tell you I love you. You'll be safe, and make sure you call me next week.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We have another call. Good evening. You're on the air with Emmett Mitchell. How are you?
Good. How you all doing?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, this morning, one of the coldest days of the month, I walked out my door. I was going to go to the city council meeting, and a kid was walking down the street with a long-sleeve T-shirt on. And I had to stop and turn around and go back and give him a coat that I had. I've been saying I was going to get it clean. It wasn't even clean, but when he tried it on, he said, wow, it sure is warm. And I'm seeing that across this city as I'm going. And what I'm seeing the conditions as the results of policies coming from government. I'd like to ask your guest, have you ever looked into the employment rate of Detroit?
The employment rate of Detroit.
Yeah, I have multiple conversations with community stakeholders in regards to providing jobs for youth and addressing the need for getting youth active in job searches and things of that nature. I am aware that the city of Detroit has an unemployment rate of somewhere around 14%, which is between 14 and 20%, excuse me, which is much higher than the national average.
Well, that unemployment, I said employment rate. Well, I tell you how you do that. And then you can get a true picture of Detroit, and you'll find out it might not be the social behavior in the house, but it might be the results of the policies coming down from the federal, state, and local government. You go to the finance department. You ask them to get the income tax returns that they process. And then you see how many people, that gives you an indication close to how many people's employed. Then you get to 16 to 64, the working age, so you won't have to deal with retired people like me, 72, and you won't have to deal with kids going to school. And the working age is 16 to 64. You divide that employed with that tax return that indicates there is employment, and you will find out that 80% of the working age in Detroit don't have a job. And when you find that out, you would ask yourself why. You look at all the categories.
Hey,
and
sir,
you heard
sir,
say small
sir.
business is the major employer in the United States. Well, you tell them the small business in Detroit is controlled by immigrants, and they got
Excuse me.
They got their own
Hello.
workforce.
Excuse
so
me.
When you see that in the neighborhood, the kids can't get a job in the neighborhood. Then you go downtown and they say you ain't educated because we got to.
Can you hear me? Thank you very much for calling. I appreciate the call.
Yeah.
No, Barry, that gentleman, as long-winded as he was on to something in regards to the unemployment rate in the city. So what I propose is this. I understand that policy and legislation sometimes has an impact on the ability for a community or a culture or a group of people to increase their quality of living. But this is something that we have to understand. We have to understand that no matter who's in power, no matter what type of revolution happens, if an individual does not take it upon themselves to improve their circumstances, it doesn't matter who was in power before the revolution, who's in power after the revolution, that individual will continue to suffer. And I'm not saying that to dissolve the powers that be from their responsibility to treat a community of people correctly.
Sure.
However, at some point, we have to take responsibility for ourselves. We have to take responsibility for our families. We have to take responsibility for our children in the community. And that is the goal of the Milestones Agency, to not wait around for support and help from other entities.
Because it's not coming.
And if you wait on it, you'll look up and you've lost another generation of youth. And so the goal is to put the emphasis and the energy into preventing some of the issues and challenges that we already know exist, and give yourself time. There's a term in basketball where they always say, don't watch the score. When you're behind in the basketball game, the score may be 100-50. Just keep playing. Don't watch the score. We are in a state of emergency in the inner cities across this nation where you cannot watch the score. You just have to keep playing the game, keep putting forth 100% effort, and allow the fruits of your labor to manifest themselves.
You are brilliant. First I want to say to the guest that called in, we appreciate your call. This isn't what I like to do with my guests is stay focused on the topic. What I want to say is that, we have areas in Detroit where there's 75% unemployment. But I also want to say, the young man, you wouldn't know this, we have another organization, the Greater Detroit Restoration Project, where we board up houses. It was a 19-year-old young man, Mr. David Troop, that gave me the idea to literally start boarding up houses. He's 19. He grew up in an area where they were plagued with gangs. His friends were he told me one night we were out for dinner that so many of his friends were getting murdered that it was just like pass the salad, pass the ketchup. He became numb to it. But what I want to say is he pulled himself out himself, enrolled in a dental assistant school, and now works 3 jobs in an economy where people, exactly what you were saying. And it's easy for me to sit on this show and say, all you got to do is. Now, I know how hard it is, but if a person is determined, you can create an economy. We're only limited by how we limit ourselves. This young man that's working 3 jobs continues. If he loses one, he picks up another one. And we know jobs are not that plentiful. But if you're determined to get out, you will find a way. Now, I know a lot of people are held back by obstacles, and there's murders in their neighborhood, and there's abuse in the homes, and you might not even be physically well. For a lot of reasons, you might be held back. But those that succeed because they believe they can. Hope, determination can change. Now, I'm also thinking that we can change the economy here in our city by changing the culture. That if we can get our citizens out of this muck and mire and get them to want to be educated, even if we have better education, and a child is living in a home where there's abuse, physical, mental, sexual, walking to school past abandoned houses, his best friend got murdered. It is beyond hard to get past this. We know this. But imagine if we could change the culture to, what I was going to say is, if a child is facing all this in the home, and we give him a good school to go to with good curriculum, why would he want to learn? If I don't like myself, and you mentioned it earlier, so we have to get with the fact how important it is to love yourself. If you really like yourself, you probably won't inflict hurt upon others. A lot of this hurt, what's going on, I hate myself so much. I don't care if I live or die, so why should I care about your welfare? What do we have, a minute? Why don't you close this out? Tell them whatever you want. Talk about this event this month. Give them your information. And we're going to continue to support Emmett. He's got some major events coming. So take it away, Emmett. And
okay,
thank you.
So I would like to invite all of the viewers and all of the citizens of the City of Detroit, community stakeholders, nonprofit leadership, community leadership to our Black Male Leadership Symposium that will be held at the Northwest Activity Center this Saturday, December 15th, from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. There will be lunch provided. Essentially, the goal of this symposium will be to exchange ideas and leverage resources that we are going to provide at a much larger conference, the Black Male Leadership Conference that will be held January 26th, 2013 at the Virgil M. Carr Center. We are trying to build up a support group and develop resources for young African American males to provide them with job opportunities, higher learning education opportunities, provide them with mental health care if needed, with health care if needed, to help them navigate the waters of the friend of the court, adjudicating any type of judicial issues that they may have, provide them with any tangible support that they may need for young children, backpacks, boots, provide them with intangible resources, whatever they need in order to improve their quality of living. We're trying to leverage those resources, bring them to the table, and provide them at this symposium and also at the conference. Also, we would like to offer up any agencies who would like to sponsor the event or who would like to come be a partner with the Black Male Leadership Conference 2013 to contact us at 313-444-2055. That's 313-444-2055. And for more information, you can email the Milestones Agency at info@themilestonesagency.org.
This sponsorship that you're referring to, anybody wants to sponsor, that's for the January event, for the symposium, not for this week, correct?
No,
it's too late.
Yeah, it's too late for that. But for the January 26th event, the Black Male Leadership Conference for 2013, we are encouraging community leadership and business owners to sponsor and provide a table at the event to disseminate information about their agencies and about their businesses to the more than 250 people who we plan on attending.
All right, we're going to take a quick call and we're going to go. I want to take this call. Good evening. You're on the air. We got about 1 minute, please. Could you you have a question for our guests?
You know what? Is this Barry?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Barry, I just want to say that you have a great show. I think you're an awesome host, and I stand behind you 100%. What you said about Governor Snyder being a big sissy.
That's a real sissy, not a sissy when we were little boys. When I was a little boy, a sissy was a kid that didn't want to fight the next. You know what I mean? We're talking about a real sissy. Is that the kind you mean? Okay, he didn't want to go there with me. And you know, I just like to have a little levity because we're so serious. So you know I have to ask this of my guest. This Saturday, the Black Male Leadership. Well, can people like me go?
Of course you're invited.
Okay.
Anyone who has any community stakeholders in the city of Detroit who feel as if they can make a difference and who want to partner with the Milestones Agency is more than welcome to come.
Because I'm coming.
Our services, our resources are available to all. We've made a conscious effort and decision to concentrate on the African American male population because they have the highest death rate in the city of Detroit and the lowest graduation rate in the city of Detroit. And so we feel that it is important to develop male leadership in the household and in the community, and we feel as if this will alleviate a lot of the issues and challenges within the city of Detroit.
I can't thank you enough. You are so profound and intelligent.
Thanks,
Listen,
Barry.
Watch this young man. I'm telling you, you heard it here first. Mr. Emmett Mitchell, he's going places, and I hope I live long enough to ride along the way to watch him. I'm sure I will. We're going to be right back with Reverend Mayowa. Are we having another guest with you, ma'am? Okay. Reverend Mayowa Reynolds. Stay tuned. She'll be on in 3 minutes. We'll be right back.
1,000 men's suits. And right now at Sermons, you can buy one and get two free. Not one suit, but two free. Buy one suit, bring two friends. Buy one suit, bring two relatives. Buy one suit, get two free. Bring your pastor, your boss, your teacher. Buy one suit and get two free. Sermons with 90 years of experience, carrying jeans, exotic skin shoes, sets, shirts, leathers, sweaters, everything for the well-dressed man. Buy one suit, get two free. Sermons on Randolph in downtown Detroit.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special bulletin.
Did you know that there are over 100,000 abandoned homes within the city of Detroit? If you are tired of abandoned dangerous houses in your neighborhood, please support the Greater Detroit Restoration Project. Please make all checks and money orders payable to the Greater Detroit Restoration Project. The mailing address, 17301 Livernois, Suite 405, Detroit, Michigan, 48221. All donations will help fund the expense of boarding up abandoned homes within the city of Detroit and Highland Park. For more information, contact Barry Ross at 248-417-9696 or Minister Malik Shabazz at 313-646-3375.
You are going to want to check me out first Wednesday of every month. Join me, Barry Ross, remixing it up. It's webtv.com. I'm going to be reporting to you the facts and the truth, the way our society is run in Metro Detroit. 8 p.m., bringing you featured guests in relation to community, education, violence, what's happening on the streets in our town. It's Web TV, Barry Ross, remixing it up. Wednesdays at 8 p.m., the first Wednesday of every month. Remember, remixing it up with Barry Ross on itswebtv.com.
Hey, come on. Man, what is taking so long? Let's play.
Just getting a number.
Whose number?
Narcotics Anonymous.
Hey, if you need to talk.
No way, it's not for me, it's for my brother. He's constantly wasted. Come on, hoop time. Can you tell me about NA?
Call Narcotics Anonymous. We can help you.
The following program does not reflect the views and opinions of Channel 33, its management, or sponsors. You're watching Power Talk on your community TV station, UHF TV 33, Detroit, Highland Park.
Welcome to Metro Foodland, where you'll always find courteous service. Our hardworking staff always gives their all to maintain our dairy fresh and wholesome products, cold cuts, premium meats, and of course, we have some of the freshest produce around. Check out our deli and bistro. We also carry specialty items such as Tanisha Noni, Water Station alkaline water, and much, much more. If we don't have it, just ask, and we'll do our best to get it. Remember to ask how to join our Healthy Rewards Club. Seniors and ladies, always ask for an escort to your vehicle. We'll see you soon at Detroit's own community grocer, Metro Foodland, located at 18551 Grand River. That's 18551 Grand River, near Finkel and the Southfield Freeway. Remember, that's Metro Foodland.
Tuesdays, 9 p.m. on TV 33. Join me, Barry Ross, on Mixing It Up. We'll feature informative community organizations that will offer solutions to Wayne County residents in reference to employment, safety, and security within neighborhoods, job training, education, and mentoring programs. Remember, Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Join me, Barry Ross, Mixing It Up on TV 33.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. Highland Park and Detroit. You're watching TV 33, WHPR, Detroit, Highland Park. The numbers to call are 313-868-0342, 868-0351, and 868-4336. Once again, we're honored to be here with you this evening. Welcome, welcome, and thank you for coming back. Certainly want to give honor and praise to God, who is certainly the head of my life. The God that I know is a God of justice and peace and reciprocity. The one that says by the prophet Isaiah and the prophet Jeremiah that let those who boast in this, that they know me, that I am the God of justice. Let not those who boast in their wealth. Let not the intelligent boast in their knowledge. Let not the mighty boast in their strength. But let those who boast in this, that they know that I am God, that I am the one that is righteous and just. And so it is that we come again in the name of justice, in the name of peace, in the name of what is right. I want to give honor and thanks to my brother and friend, Barry Ross, for one, this opportunity, for two, for his vision, for three, for his commitment to what is right. For he puts his work behind his commitment. They are not just words, but they are actions that match words, that match his heart and his mind. And he is following and committed to that which he believes in. We have a caller, so go ahead, caller. You may speak. I have a few things we're going to share tonight, but go ahead.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, you're on the air.
Hi, Myra.
Hi.
My name is Terry. I'm just going to touch on the next subject that you're going to talk about.
Oh, excellent. Okay, thank you, Terry. So stay on the line, and we're going to have you come in and discuss some of the things that have been happening and what we're going to do in the future. Amen? Okay, so I want to give thanks and praise to God, to my ancestors, to my mentors, my friends, my family. I want to just briefly talk about where we are with this right to work legislation. Today was a very crowded day. It seemed like it was for naught because people have made up their minds. We really need to understand what this means for the state of Michigan. And it was on this year in April, when Rachel Maddow was actually here in Detroit receiving an award for the Detroit branch NAACP. And she explained that the nation is watching Michigan. And so now we've demonstrated to the nation that it is the strongest state of union workers, unions who have changed working conditions throughout the world to make them safe, that created a living wage, that provided opportunities for people to work in environments that will be productive for both the company and the employee. And now that we have this right to work legislation, it's very interesting how these legislations that undo all of the civil rights, that undo all of the things that we fought hard for to gain, they use words that sound good, but they're meaningless, because while it may say right to work, it really means the right to disenfranchise the union, to break up solidarity, to break up the opportunities that unions have to fight for justice, with the fact that they have numbers and people all in agreement to say, well, now you can choose. They just call it a choice. It's interesting how they want you to have a choice when it comes to a union, but they want to dictate what you do with your body. It's very interesting to me. So now that you have a choice, the question becomes, those people who choose not to join unions, do they benefit from the labor of the union? So this is a very critical issue, and the nation is watching, so we should not sleep on what's happening right in our backyard. Additionally, we're going to talk about this whole emergency manager situation. Who in their right mind would agree to disenfranchise themselves? So when I speak and see and hear public servants, people who are in office, who are earning a living from the voters' vote for them to serve us and to be paid by the city to serve us, to say in turn that they are willing to disenfranchise themselves and us right along with it. I tell you, brothers and sisters, that this is residual effect. I heard Brother Emmett talking earlier, and I respect, with the utmost respect, how we have to collectively work to continue to build ourselves. But I tell you that white supremacy and racism has done a job on all of us. And I say that because there are two tenets. There's internalized inferiority and internalized superiority. And those two tenets have certain groups of people thinking that they are not even worthy to govern themselves, and they allow someone else to govern them. No one, nowhere on the planet. You got people in Egypt, in Tunisia, fighting for democratic rights to be able to speak and have a voice, speak up for themselves. Yet you have people in Detroit willing to say, you know, we don't want to have the right to govern ourselves. We want to let someone who has no qualifications or who's not been vetted, we want one person to come in and dictate to us how we should run our city. And that is absurd. That is ridiculous. And people that have had emergency managers in their cities have come to Detroit and said, this is not something that I will wish on anyone, and there's no way you should accept this. There is something called bankruptcy if you cannot handle your budget, and you can recover from that through opportunities to stabilize yourself financially. But there is no way on earth that we should be in the business of disenfranchising ourselves. We understand that Brown versus Brown versus the Board of Education. People don't even understand that fought was won by the psychologist's analysis of how beautiful brown girls would rather play with a baby doll that looked totally opposite from themselves, that they were given opportunities and choices to play with a brown baby doll or a blonde white baby doll. And every time they would choose the white baby doll, and they would say things like, well, this doll is better. And it proved that separate and equal is a lie and a myth, and it should be shattered. And so we have to understand our history. We have to understand that the things that we fought were legal battles. And we use a law of the land and the language of those laws to fight for the ability to govern ourselves. And how dare we in the 21st century allow ourselves and allow our elected officials to say it is okay to disenfranchise themselves and the people. It is absurd, it is ridiculous, and it is up to us to call them to the carpet and vote them out of office so that we can again govern ourselves. I have some very special guests with me tonight. As we discussed on last Tuesday, there was a special rally on Saturday. This rally was in response to the utter violence and degradation and madness that has plagued some people, not all, some people in our community. And our discontent and our ability to unify, to come together, to pray, but more than that, to take action. Because as I say every time, we have to save our children. We can't disenfranchise ourselves from them because they are our children. So there were some young men who pretended to help an elderly woman with her trash as she took it out to the curb. They in turn followed her in, beat her, robbed her, and threw her down a flight of stairs. This action caused her to lose her life, and she's gone on to glory, but her family is left with the scars, and this community has been traumatized once again, and we should never accept this as normal. And so I have with me tonight a very special guest, Brother Tafuri Brent, minister, revolutionary in this community who, like Barry Ross, puts his money and his body and his work with his morals, his commitment, and his values. He's a scholar, he's a theologian, he's a critical thinker, and he constantly challenges me to think critically about what we're going to do instead of reacting. And also we have a special guest that he will introduce, our caller who will call in and give us more information on next steps. Brother Tafuri?
Grace and peace, Mama Mara.
Grace and peace.
It's indeed an honor and a privilege to be here. I want to say thank you for allowing me to be here, and thank you to our brother, Barry Ross. Unfortunately, the occasion that has brought us here is a very sad one. Mm-hmm. However, it's becoming all too common in our community, whereas our elders and our children and our women are being victimized by those individuals who have been created by God to be their protectors. So many of our young men are now predators as opposed to protectors. Mm-hmm. And some of us are just refusing to accept that. And we definitely don't claim it as being a norm. We recognize that. We recognize that those individuals who are committing those kinds of acts are a minority in our community, that most of the brothers and sisters in the city of Detroit are family folk, hard-working folk, educated, intelligent, church-going folk. And that's really what Detroit is all about. In fact, I would venture to say that Detroit really is best represented by those of us like yourself and like Brother Ross who stand up and say no more. That is absolutely unacceptable, and we will not allow that to occur in our community without us speaking out against it.
Okay, and so can you introduce our guest, our caller, as well as give us an update? Have they found the perpetrators? Do we have any leads? Is there a reward? Is there something to help us get closure for this family and for us to get justice? Because just because we want to love our young people and love them to their righteous self, we're going to hold them accountable.
Indeed. Unfortunately, our guest wasn't able to be here today, Mrs. Terry Strickland. However, I do want to acknowledge her as being the sister. Much like yourself, the sister soldier, the sister warrior, in the spirit of Assata Shakur, in the spirit of Andrea Cooper, who really made the call. She called me and said, brother, we got to do something about this. She knows the family. Her husband and her brother-in-law were raised by Mrs. Shirley Reed, and she encouraged us to get involved. And of course, when sisters call, I try to come to serve and assist, you know, as you organize. And I just want to acknowledge that sister, but unfortunately, she couldn't be here today because of her work schedule.
Okay, well, we acknowledge her. Yeah, she's on the phone.
Oh,
she's on the line.
Praise the Lord.
Come on, call in. You can speak now. Come on, sister.
I'm sorry I couldn't be there.
It's okay.
But I did want to put in my input. Miss Shirley Reed was there yesterday, Monday. Unfortunately, we haven't got the community to speak up. A couple of people did. I witnessed a couple of people running away from her house, but so far they haven't caught anybody. We're still in prayer, hoping that they catch these people as soon as possible to get them off the street so they won't have to do this or victimize another elderly or a kid or me or you or anybody else, that they can be off the street as soon as possible. I really thank Tafuri for coming out, Barry Ross, the Minister Melisha Bass, Lisa Howes, Roy McAllister, and everybody else who came and showed their support. The neighborhood was happy to see us, and we told them that they just have to stand up as black men and black people in their neighborhood to take their neighborhood back.
That's right. That's right. Take your neighborhood back. Take your house back. Take your street back. Because what we definitely want to demonstrate is that this is unacceptable. We can never become anesthetized and just, oh, this is normal, or that's how it is. We have to be outraged. We have to be outraged, and we have to have, just as we have to have the balance of having grief and compassion for the family. We don't want to overstep any boundaries with the family, and then we also don't want to politicize it, but we do want to say what is wrong, what is not righteous, what is not good, because our elders should not be afraid to take their garbage can to the curb. That's just the bottom line. They should not be afraid, and we cannot accept someone pretending to be a sheep, a wolf covered in sheep clothing. You can't pretend. See, we know we can't go to certain places. Okay, we know we're more careful about certain things, but we can't pretend to give someone help and then turn that into tragedy. We cannot become that desperate. And so whatever it is that has caused our young people to be that desperate, we say time out. Stop. And
you should be safe in your own home. That's my whole thing. You've been there for over 40 years. This is my home. This is where I pay my taxes, my bills.
Right.
I should be safe in my home. And I told the neighbors, look out for the rest of the people that's been over there for 30 years. Take their trash to the front. Check on them to make sure they're okay.
Right.
Because we are in a cold, cold world these days, and we need prayer every day of the week.
I agree.
And it kind of reminds me of, I know one of the first cases that we got involved in over 2 years ago, Mrs. Odessa Wells, who was victimized in a similar fashion on Gricksdale and Mitchell, Mama, where you were there. And she was sitting on her porch, and a brother came up asking to use her phone. And of course, elders, you know how elders and how the mamas have always been in our communities. They've always been, that object of help, that object of service. They've always been willing to offer themselves and offer their resources to any brother or sister in the community. Mrs. Wells was that kind of person. She lived in a corner house, and everyone knew that if you need anything, sugar, milk, whatever, Mrs. Wells had it. This brother approached Mrs. Wells, asked to use her phone. Mrs. Wells, being the kind of woman that she was, allowed this gentleman into her home. This fella beat her down, raped her, robbed her and left her for dead for 2 days. For 2 days. So what bothers me, Mama Ma, was that this has become just far too normal. And there was a time in our community when, even though you may have lived on that side of the track and you may have been involved in criminal behavior and activity, there were certain things and certain folks that you did not violate. Right. Elders, women, children, especially elders and children. Mm-hmm. You know, you just did not violate your elders. I remember there was a time when if you would be sitting on a corner, you'd be drinking and smoking and doing whatever, when you would see an elder go walk by or a woman walk by, you would take your hat off, hide your brew, put your weed up, and say, how you doing, ma'am? How you doing, sir? But these days, our young people have been so conditioned. Some of our young people have been conditioned in such a way that they have absolutely no respect for our elders, for sisters, and for our children. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they don't love themselves. For whatever reason, there are a cornucopia of variables that contribute to them not loving themselves, and you and I both know that. You know better than me because you teach our babies every day. But that is really at the root cause of it. I mean, I still believe that love conquers all, love never fails. And the only way that we're going to fix this thing is not with vigilante behavior, not with terrorizing and interrogating our people, but with loving on our people, instilling positive values in them, supporting our families, and educating our children, which is what you do every day.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yes, like I said earlier, we cannot become accustomed to this type of behavior. We have to just as abnormal as it is for young people to die. Because now I worked at Pye Funeral Home for almost 2 years. And every Saturday you would see young people come and they have the T-shirts, and it was like a ritual around, you know, this young person. That should never be normal for us. That should never become the norm. And this whole new victimizing people who are weak. And see, the Bible calls us. And see, this is where I say we've gotten so far from what the text says, from what Christ stood for. And we have 3,000 churches in the city of Detroit. We should be floating on air, walking on the Detroit River. We got so many churches, but what we don't have is the word of God inside of people that says, first and foremost, take care of the elder and the widow. Take care of the widow and the orphan. So that means that no child should be without parents in a community of love. No elder should be vulnerable and weak. So the rest of us may have to fend for ourselves, but the elders, the seniors, those who have paid their dues, and the children who are the most vulnerable and weakest in our society, if we were a people of faith, if we really believed in that text that we go to 3,000 churches all over this city in, if we believed in it, we begin to live our lives in such a way that reflected that. There's two other statistics. We say there's a saying within seminarians, that we live in a culture now, the first time a generation of people of African descent that have communities of people that are unchurched. That we grew up in a time where that was a part of the norm, because not only did we get our spiritual revelation there, but we also got our sense of community, our sense of belonging, so that if there wasn't a father in the home, there were deacons who were stood in as father figures. If the mother worked all day and all night, there were mothers there who would nurture the girls, so that we had this sense of community and this place where we would gather. But now we have a whole generation of people whose parents were so liberated that they did not impose any type of structure, organized religion, doctrine, so that now we say we have a group of folks that's unchurched. And the church was so much more than a spiritual base. It was a cultural place where we developed cultural norms.
That's right.
Where we met, because it was the only place that was truly free for us, that we could speak freely and openly and plan our forward movement and plan our revolution, that we would come together and organize and strategize about what was best for all of us. Because when we did something that was good for all of us, we all benefited. That's right. Just like now, when that happens to someone over on Pinehurst, and my mother lives a few blocks from that, it puts shivers in my body. Because that's happening to all of us. So even though it didn't happen to me, I'm very concerned, and I was on my face and I was in prayer, praying for that prayer vigil, and more importantly, for us to make a change, for us to reach out to each other, and as you say, not be vigilantes, but to really strategize around what we're going to do. The first thing we have to do is call it what it is. We have to call it out. We have to call people to stop being scared. We've taken another word and made it a cultural norm. We say snitching, that's a cultural norm, that we don't want to say anything. But we put ourselves in jeopardy when we don't say anything. That's and right. We dishonor everything she ever stood for. We dishonor every person she ever cared for or touched because we allowed we allowed ourselves to see something or know something or have a feeling about something and not speak forward. So I encourage you to speak up.
That's right.
They have text now. You can text the police department. You can call anonymously. You don't have to be identified, but don't keep that information to yourself. So we need justice. We need peace and healing for the family. Because what happens with most people, a lot of people are leaving the city. They're taking their kids out of the schools. And so we've had an exodus. But be clear, any city built by a river is important and is valuable. And everybody in it is important. That means you and that means me. And so we got to come together. We got to work together. And I really support what Brother Barry Ross is doing, trying to make all of the small pockets of good come together as a string of pearls. Pamoja tutashinga. That's Kiswahili. Together, we will win. But we got to come together, people. And we got to heal. We got to call our young people to excellence. We got to call them to excellence because we love them, we care for them, and we cannot afford to allow them to go astray. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. We love you. And we look forward to working with you in the community. So if you see us, don't just honk your horn. Join in with us, join hands with us, and let us work to make our city a better place.
Tuesdays, 9 p.m. on TV 33. Join me, Barry Ross, on Mixing It Up. We'll feature informative community organizations that will offer solutions to Wayne County residents in reference to employment, safety, and security within neighborhoods, job training, education, and mentoring programs. Remember, Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Join me, Barry Ross, Mixing It Up on TV 33.
1,000 men's suits. And right now at Sermons, you can buy one and get two free. Not one suit, but two free. Buy one suit, bring two friends. Buy one suit, bring two relatives. Buy one suit, get two free. Bring your pastor, your boss, your teacher. Buy one suit and get two free. Sermons with 90 years of experience, carrying jeans, exotic skin shoes, sets, shirts, leather, sweaters, everything for the well-dressed man. Buy one suit, get two free. Sermons on Randolph in downtown Detroit.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special bulletin.
Did you know that there are over 100,000 abandoned homes within the city of Detroit? If you are tired of abandoned, dangerous houses in your neighborhood, please support the Greater Detroit Restoration Project. Please make all checks and money orders payable to the Greater Detroit Restoration Project. The mailing address, 17301 Livernois, Suite 405, Detroit, Michigan, 48221. All donations will help fund the expense of boarding up abandoned homes within the city of Detroit and Highland Park. For more information, contact Barry Ross at 248-417-9696 or Minister Malik Shabazz at 313-646-3375.
You are going to want to check me out. First Wednesday of every month. Join me, Barry Ross, remixing it up. It's webtv.com. I'm going to be reporting to you the facts and the truth, the way our society is running in Metro Detroit. 8 p.m., bringing you featured guests in relation to community, education, violence, what's happening on the streets in our town. It's Web TV, Barry Ross, remixing it up. Wednesdays at 8 p.m., the first Wednesday of every month. Remember, remixing it up with Barry Ross on itswebtv.com.
Hey, come on. Man, what is taking so long? Let's play.
Just getting a number.
Whose number?
Narcotics Anonymous.
Hey, if you need to talk.
No way, it's not for me, it's for my brother. He's constantly wasted. Come on, hoop time. Can you tell me about NA?
Call Narcotics Anonymous. We can help you.
Channel 33, its management, or sponsors. You're watching UHF TV 33, Detroit Highland Park.